This is a live TV show. Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio. We got a nice new young man volunteered after coming to the open house. I know his mother for a few years. His name is Zach. He's in the studio helping. We got Rookie of the Year, Steve Fisher there showing him the ropes and the cameras and the sound. So bear with us if anything would happen. Hope you're enjoying the show. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip Hayner is here. Smoking Jim Frazier's here, and he surprised me. I don't know if you can get a close-up. Here, can you do this, Steve, with this camera right here in front of me? That's what's left of the talking machine birthday cake.
There you go.
Smoking Jim's been with me 7 years now. He finally realized that my birthday is June 30th. And don't ask me how that even happened with the confusion, but we crushed this cake. He said it was black and white inside.
That's because...
And it was very good, Smoking Jim. Delicious. We have our fun and we talk some sports, so thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32, also in Bethel Park and the surrounding area from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. Appreciate all the great feedback that I get from people and thinking my birthday was earlier than it was instead of later like Smoking Jim Frazier. Thanks to Mary Ann at Azazu for the cut. Was down there at 2:30. Got my haircut, posted that on Facebook since people like to keep track of my haircut. I'm just happy at this advanced age I have hair, so thank you very much for the feedback from that. And the birthday is officially June 30th, so save your birthday wishes for that. I got some promos that I want to talk about. First off, Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 412-831-1900. Ask for Rookie at Olive Oil's Pizza, Matt. He cut our hoagie, Smoking Jim, and our pizza. How'd he do?
Good job.
Yeah, he said, would I mention his name? I said, sure, Matt. Just make sure you cut that into 6 slices on the hoagie and 12 on the pizza. So we're good there. They sponsor our show. We appreciate Frank Fanero of Olive Oil's Pizzeria. So stay tuned for more about that later on in our location report. Now let's see what else I got here. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Another close-up of Joey before DIPG and after DIPG with the brain cancer that killed him at 9 years old. So it's sad, very sad for the family there, and we help out the different charities and fundraisers that they do. They're a 501c3, so any money you donate will go to researching DIPG, the brain cancer that kills these kids within a year once they're diagnosed. So check out the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Another 501c3 here in Bethel, the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. It's right on South Park Road there with the trolley there out front. The old-time trolley's right there. They got 5,000 new windows. They rent to businesses. They run different events there, do a lot of great things in the community. Check them out, the Bethel Park Historical Society. Now we had a great guest on our show, Dan Del Bianco of pvgp.org, Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix. Guess what? It starts July 6th and runs through the 15th. Their main events are at Shenley Park and the Oval, and they do races there with all kind of cars and vintage cars and you name it, and they have it. 100,000 people show up a day there. If you want to volunteer, go to pvgp.org. Ask to be a volunteer, and they could use them. Check that out. Dave Cable likes to have fun sometimes at my expense. Put my head on Uncle Sam and said, tell them Uncle Al sent you to BPTV. Look, we had an open house. We got Zach here in our studio because he came to the open house with his mom, and he's now here, so appreciate that. I want you for BPTV, 412-831-3304. Check it out. All right, one more promo with this flood and all the Bethel Park things that went on. Bethel Park Community Foundation has money. They're supposed to have a meeting Thursday night to try to help the Bethel Park Blackhawk Relief Fund for the people that suffered a lot of damage. You saw a lot of videos. I was out on Wednesday night and people kept asking me if I was okay. I didn't even tell anybody where I was, but I was at the Renaissance Hotel watching a friend of mine sing, Shelley Duff, and it was pouring down rain. Bucco fans were streaming into the restaurant and hotel, and she was singing for 3 hours. So I was okay till I went home. Banksville Road was closed. Saw the videos from the trolley stop in and other
You mean the
locations.
Banksville River?
Banksville Road was closed. I go off the exit, couldn't get off the exit. They had it blocked. Had to go to my old haunting ground of Greentree, cut through Greentree, off Potomac, down to McMonagle, and Banksville Road was blocked off from the shopping center there where Coons is at. And I did say Coons Smoking Jim. And that was closed all the way down there with flooding. So I was safe at home. The only thing that got washed out was a little mulch on my one hillside in the back. That was the only damage that I had, except for one other thing. My box blew out because of the storm, so I had no internet, no TV from Wednesday night until Sunday morning about 10:30. Verizon technician come out, put a new box in, and we're good to go. I don't even need a battery for it. You know how they have these batteries set up? I don't need a battery, and TV and internet are fine. But that's what's going on. Check out the Bethel Park Community Foundation. They're going to try to help relief victims in Bethel Park. So I'm proud to be a part of this group. And if you need money and stuff, just present it to them. When they have a meeting, they'll vote. That's what I have there for you. Next I have is our show, What's on Your Mind, is sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. They have a station down past Mineral Beach, Trax Farm. You can't miss it. It's all red, white, and blue. And it's 724-348-4715. Skeets works on anything and everything that runs on gas, and he sponsors What's on Your Mind on Pittsburgh Sportsline. Guess what I'm going to ask Smoking Jim Frazier? What's on your mind?
Thanks,
Smoking
L. Levine,
Jim.
the talking machine. And if you want the green,
It's coming at you.
you got to see Levine. And that green was about this color on your cake that said talking machine, man.
I know. Here, we got that. See
yeah.
that?
So,
Look at that. That's
know what?
close.
I always wanted to try.
Yeah, a little while.
I always wanted to try Zumba. I may go to Zach's mom's Zumba class. I may join.
She teaches aerobics.
Jim, watching the class would wear you out.
Hold it. He might like watching the class. Let's not even go there.
Yeah.
But hey, I want to apologize to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
What?
Friday they gave me 300 tickets for the game, but
And you kept them all.
I didn't make it because I was at
That was the best game of the series.
I was at the Wheelhouse.
We had a little business meeting.
I did listen to it all 13 innings or whatever, but
No,
I
you
was
missed.
I was at a business meeting.
How about
at
the screen
Wheelhouse.
was over a huge screen that you were watching the game on when you finally realized the game was on TV?
Yeah, that was.
It was as big as this room.
I didn't realize that was the
That's-
Pirate game that was on. I was
Yeah, he
getting
goes with the
excited.
Pirates playing. We're like, yeah.
But
Some things get away from
What
them.
was that, the 12th or 13th inning?
It was about the 9th inning.
Yeah.
And he watched for 3.
But hopefully I'll find out, hopefully the other 299 people made it, but I'm sure a lot of people stayed away because of the rain.
I just have one
Yeah, I guess.
There wasn't
question.
any rain on Friday night.
Well, some of my people thought it was going to rain.
I know all about getting your hair wet. Right?
Smoking Jim, I just have one question.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to meet and greet and give a ticket to 299 people?
Not long at all.
I can't even believe his story then. It's
Not
skeptical
long
he
at
gave
all.
them out.
Not long at all, man.
And the other backup question to it is, why are they giving you 300 tickets?
Because I guess nobody will go.
I mean,
They
how
can't
did
find nobody to go.
how did they know about you?
Huh?
How can they possibly know about you? You've gone to one game,
Because of
now
all
2 games in the last 4
because of
years.
all that positive press that he's given them.
Yeah, that's it, man.
There's no way, because if they listen to him, he
That's
barely even
600
talked.
tickets on a year I got so far. I'm shooting for 900. So
How did you even get contacted by them?
Who knows, man?
This can't be a random thing.
I like that.
This can't be random. There's no way that they even would do that.
I feel like I'm the lucky charm, but what's on my mind is
Thanks for not answering.
the Pittsburgh Steelers top 10 wide receivers of all time. And I'm sure
I thought you
Chipper
listed
is
12.
interested in that.
You listed 12 on there, I thought.
12. 10B is Juju.
Because that's 11 then.
And number 10 got to go with James Washington.
He
Who
didn't
hasn't, who hasn't played it down.
He's the next Sterling Sharp. He'll have Juju on the bench.
So he has yet to play it down.
He'll have Juju on the bench by mid-season.
Well, all I can say is Smoking Jim is quite the entertainer.
Number 9.
Because this is entertaining.
Yeah, I had over 200 comments on this one alone.
I don't know how you suck them in. I ignore your comments because I just can't believe it.
Yeah,
I don't want to argue with this list.
I don't want my feed blowing up all day.
I don't like all the other people replying, and I get a notice each time they reply.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's what I mean. My feed just blows up.
That's why I stopped doing that years ago. No offense to Smoking Jim Frazier and his nonsense.
9C, Ron Shanklin. Got to have him, Ron Shanklin.
Number 25.
Played at the same college as Mean Joe Green and Chuck Beatty. 3 great ones from North Texas State. 3 great Steelers. 9B, Martavis Bryant.
Did you say 9B?
9B.
You're up to like 13 people.
And 9, you got to go with Mike Wallace, some speedsters. How about number 8?
8's not great.
Best Korean football player of all time, Hines Ward.
Only half.
I don't know how you let him be in your top 10.
How about number 7, Plexico Burris?
Unbelievable with a gunshot.
Spiking the ball on the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
It was close.
How about former Super Bowl MVP? And if the Steelers didn't stab him in the back, the Steelers would have beat Green Bay in another Super Bowl. Santonio Holmes.
How could you even say
If
that?
he had been on a team against Green Bay, they'd have won.
He wasn't even producing.
He
He wasn't even.
He puffed past his way off the team.
How about number 5? Nobody can argue with number 5. Louis Hot Lips.
Yeah, Louis Lips.
How about number 4? Yancey Thigpen. Number 3B, Roy Jefferson.
I vote for him.
All right. Number 3, John Stallworth. Number 2, Lynn Swann. And number 1, Antonio the Diva Brown. Drafted by Smoking Jim Frazier, 2010.
Well,
And that's the top 10. No arguments there, is it? Would
Well,
you want LB Nickel on there?
I would have put him in the top 10
Yeah, you
easily.
probably should have.
Yeah,
I
and
should have put
and
somebody
I always thought Stallworth was a better receiver than Swan.
What? What? Wow. Really?
He just said it.
That's my humble opinion.
All I can say
You know
is
how you have a humble opinion.
all I can say is when somebody makes a great catch, they say that's a Lynn Swann type catch. Never heard them say that was a Jerry Rice or a John Stallworth type catch. Lynn Swann.
I never heard anybody say anything about it. That was a Martavis Bryant catch.
All right, these two could go on and on. Thank you, Smoking Jim Frazier.
You're welcome, brother.
Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. And what's on my mind, since we're talking about lists, I heard of a list today. And, yesterday the NFL Network, they let loose with their top 10 football players in the NFL today.
Wow.
And they had Tom Brady ranked as number 1, and they had Antonio Brown ranked as number 2.
I didn't know that, really.
Yes, and they had Le'Veon Bell at number 5.
Wow.
He was the top-rated running back. But also, there was a quarterback of really no note other than the fact that he probably set the record for being sacked the most times his first 3 seasons as a quarterback of the expansion Houston Texans, David Carr.
Oh, yeah.
So David Carr came up with who he felt were his top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL today.
Wow.
Okay? And, of course, he said that Tom Brady was number one, and based on his numbers from last year, I could understand the thought process there, and Aaron Rodgers was number two. But the amazing thing about his top 10 is that nowhere in the top 10 did we find a Ben Roethlisberger.
Wow.
He didn't have Ben in the top 10. And you know who he had as number either 9 or number 10, and I didn't print up the list because I really didn't.
Didn't care.
I didn't care because I look at the source. But he had Jimmy Garoppolo, who's played 5 whole games in the NFL as a higher rated quarterback
Maybe
than Ben
he goes to smoking
Roethlisberger.
Jim's school of logic.
Yeah, maybe.
He might be at
But
the same
I
school.
think 5 starts in the NFL, for the San Francisco 49ers does warrant you being a top 10 quarterback. Now, of course, he's being paid like a top 10 quarterback.
Sure.
And I guess he can thank his agent for that. But that begs my question here. Is Ben Roethlisberger a top 10 quarterback in the NFL?
Yes.
I would say
Yes.
I would say definitely yes to top 10. Maybe
Top 5 in my
top
book.
5. Then I'm wavering on that, mate.
I'd
a
say
little
top
bit.
5.
How about 5B? How about 5B?
Well, once you get
there's only
past-
5.
Once-
There's no B, C, D, E, F, or G. There's 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Once you get past him being a diva and the stats that he likes to collect, even though he says he's not a stat man,
Okay.
I say top 5 with the hits that he's taken and the plays that he's
Well,
made to win games.
Here's the thought process behind David Carr's not rating Big Ben as top 10. He said that with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, they make Roethlisberger the quarterback that he is, and he would not be able to win as many games as the Steelers win as a starting quarterback in his 14th season without those two. So they feel that.
I got to beg to differ on one. Would Antonio Brown be as good a receiver with Landry as a quarterback?
No.
And
Then that's my logic that because of Big Ben and how he throws,
that's my point, because
I thought
a
you
wide
might be going
receiver is only as good as the person that's throwing him the ball. And if the quarterback's throwing the ball well, the receiver, if he has exceptional talent, can take it to the next level, like Antonio Brown has done. Okay, like Julio Jones has done. He makes Matt Ryan look awfully good. Jerry Rice made Joe Montana a Hall of Famer, and Steve Young, and who else? But I just think that these top 10 lists, they're very, very subjective. They're you got to look at the source, and I'm not criticizing my dear friend Jim. I mean, he accomplished what he was trying. He got some feedback and had a little fun with it.
and he continues to.
And he continues to. But I think where you rate Ben Roethlisberger, when his career's over, that's where we'll see where he stands. Among his peers, and with the team that the Steelers are going to put on the field this year, the offensive team, even without the future all-time great Martavis Bryant, failing test after test. If Ben does not win at least one more Super Bowl, and possibly 2 if he plays as long as he says, I think it would be a huge disappointment and a big letdown. I think to cement his status as an all-time great, he needs to put a couple more trophies in the case.
At least one more in my book.
And like you said, Chip, if I'm not putting words in your mouth, but like you said, if the Steelers
Well, if
didn't
you're quoting what he said,
if the Steelers didn't backstab Santonio Holmes,
He didn't
Ben
say
would
that.
have another Super Bowl.
he didn't say that.
No.
Santonio couldn't even make it to the team meetings and stuff, so how was he going to stay on the team?
Santonio?
Yeah.
Why you say that?
Well, no, he was driving from the practice facility to the stadium and smoking a blunt on the way. Now, the difference between he and Le'Veon is that Le'Veon was coming from the North Hills, so he's coming from his pad. See?
Santonio never got a cut. He kept going with the fans.
He was
on
reporting
Twitter.
on it all the time
Yeah, wake
on
and
social
bake.
media.
Wake and bake, they all do that.
So he's obvious. They didn't like it. He's gone.
So that's what's on my mind, okay? You know,
Thank you,
the lists, and, you know, is our illustrious Ben Roethlisberger one of the all-time
Can I
greats?
say one thing before we go to
Go
Al
ahead.
Levine, the talking machine? With this Antonio Holmes curse, Ben will never get another Super Bowl. I put it out there.
Disclaimer. Smoking Jim has made up curses from Sid Bream, the curse, to the Art Rooney curse of hiring people that shouldn't have been coaches
Well, how
and
about
players.
Bobby Lane when he put the curse in 1958 on Detroit? He said they wouldn't win another title for 50 years. This year is 60 years, and there's still no title.
Well, that's a good curse.
But at least they got a top 10 quarterback.
That's a good
according
curse.
to Derek Carr.
That's a good curse because he
David
might have been
Carr.
drunk at the time. You don't even mention
Hey,
about that.
Bobby
He used to-
Lane- Bobby
he used
Lane-
to close many after-hours clubs.
Bobby Lane was only drunk on Sundays between 1 and 4.
And Saturday night. He let in that. Well, thanks, Chip and Smoking Jim Frazier. I forgot what's on my mind here. No, I'm still a disgruntled Bucco fan. Got swept by Arizona. We're in it a little bit, and just pitching and hitting didn't come through. It was just tough, but they come back and just won a game the other night, so I'm back in the optimistic frame of mind that it's a long year, 162 games. There are only 5 games under 500. I still think they have a chance to play some good baseball. We had some good pitching by Tyon last night, so I'm hopeful there. I'm hopeful that the hitting will get a little better. Polanco showed a little life in some of his hitting. I don't know what happened to Frazier, but Frazier's off the map right now.
It's in
Hitting
Indianapolis.
Well, that's part of what my point was. His average was going down to the Mendoza line, and somehow he's in Indy. But we'll see what happens with the players. They're bringing some young players up and in, and we'll see what happens here. Glasnow has pitched well. Then he just had a bad outing there with a couple home runs. These things happen. You're going to have to deal with the pitching. Tyon, I wish he would be the ace, but he hasn't proven that he can be the ace. He has some great talent and skills. Trevor Williams, who I'm a big fan of his because of how he's a pitcher, and he puts out great pitches and commands them. He had a good game the last game out, so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the Buccos, and I'll continue to watch them whether Smoking Jim gets 300 tickets, 600 tickets, 900 tickets. I don't believe it because I only saw 1 ticket in his hand on Friday night. So I'm still skeptical on how they even found Smoking Jim Frazier. I don't know if he's doing something with the new Pittsburgh Courier. He worked something out there because they're trying to get certain folks at the ball game. But that's my man there, and I got to thank my brother from another mother. Thank you for the birthday cake, officially June 30th. Still got a few days to go to it. It was delicious, my friend. And we'll be back with Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. Thanks, Chip. Thanks, Rookie of the Year. And thanks, Zach. I tell you what, a quick question for you guys.
Go ahead.
If somebody would have asked you in April if the Pirates would be at this time 5 games under 500, you'd be happy with that, right?
I wouldn't have thought they'd be 5 games under 500.
A little more or less?
I thought they'd be much worse.
Worse, okay.
I'm
That's
actually
what saying.
happy.
So they ain't bad.
No, I'm
And
happy.
I like the way Hurdle switched up the lineups, but I don't want to get too much into Bucko talk because I know Chip
You brought it up.
handle that. I'm just
You brought it
was
up.
on my. It was something on my mind. I like
Well,
the
we
way he
passed
shook up
on
the
it.
lineups.
We passed that. Now it's fiction
Beat the
and
Mets.
fact.
I don't like the Mets.
All right.
All right, here we go. Little fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Goes back to 1994. You guys heard this story before, but I think it's important to bring it up again. At the University of Tennessee's.
I just heard this the other
Yeah,
night.
you did, but the many fans out here didn't.
Ah.
But
I got to
but
hear it again.
You got to hear it again, and I'm gonna tie it together. But I'm at the
If
University.
you
of
talk about how big his head is again, then I
Yeah,
got to
that's
shut up.
5 head.
Yeah, University of Tennessee had a great freshman quarterback everybody wanted to talk about, and they had a bye week, so I went down there to meet him, and it was Peyton Manning. And then I hear that Steve Eric McNair is playing in Tennessee as well. So, and at the time, that year he finished third in the Heisman from Elkhorn State. So I went to watch him play, and he passed for 700 yards and 8 touchdowns. Ran for another 150 yards and 2 more touchdowns. But I kept saying, who's number 80 for Tennessee Chattanooga? Who's number 80 for Tennessee Chattanooga? Junior wide receiver by the name of Terrell Owens, go by T.O., and now he's going in the Hall of Fame. And the reason I brought that up is because
he's going to the Hall of Fame.
If I'm running the Hall of Fame committee and you tell me you're not coming to the ceremonies, you're not a Hall of Famer yet. You're out for the rest of your life. And if anybody don't believe me, just ask Curtis Martin, who unfriended me on Facebook, because I said as long as I'm on a committee, Curtis Martin will never get into the City League Hall of Fame, along with Big Cat Williams.
What a travesty.
Russell Friedman.
What a travesty.
NFL players. How about
You're a mean man.
How about the only City League state championship football team of all time? The 1989 Perry High School will never get in.
You sound like a prejudiced, stubborn man.
The 1990
did you hear
Perry
me?
basketball team
Did you hear me?
will never get in.
You sound like
I will put a City League arm wrestling champ or a thumb wrestling champ in there before I put Curtis Martin in the City League Hall of Fame. For the National Football League to suck up to Terrell Owens the minute that he said he is not coming to the ceremonies, the committee should have kicked him out of the Hall of Fame and banned him for life. That's my opinion. That Terrell Owens, like I said, was one of the greatest college players I've ever seen. I told every general manager in the National Football League I guaranteed he'd be a star in the National Football League. But this guy opened his mouth one time too many. And if I ran the committee, and you guys know I run a committee, and you know Terrell Owens would never get a yellow jacket if I had anything to do with it.
And it's a gold jacket.
Yellow? Well, Wiz Khalifa said it's yellow. It's gold?
No, his song's black and yellow.
Okay.
Black and yellow.
And everybody, for once,
Black and yellow.
For once, I am in complete agreement
We
with
agree
Jim
a lot.
Frazier. I couldn't agree with him more.
Thank you.
Well, all I know, folks, is this confirms how prejudiced and stubborn Smoking Jim Frazier is. Because a lot of that nonsense eliminating people from being in there because he has one deciding vote is ridiculous. They earned it the old-fashioned hard way, which you didn't. They worked hard to win.
Dr. Ramon
They
Hart,
worked hard to win.
Son, I've been recruiting his son for years, and you don't put him in Gateway, you put him in Armani.
Yeah.
Big Cat Williams and Russell Friedman beating up on Gateway players when they played because the game was out of hand. No, you never get in the Hall of Fame doing that. Beating up on the Gateway kids like that in the game. You're lucky Gateway even played all their days back then.
Let bygones be bygones.
No.
You're a mean man, Smoking Jim.
No.
To all your fans that think you're such a nice guy, how can you shun these players?
Unless Kim Kardashian asked me to give them what's they call that when you let somebody out of jail or pardon. That's Kim Kardashian asked me to give a pardon.
Who's
That's she? Lips, hips, and fingertips. That's who she is.
Who the heck is she? We got to move on from this. Enough of this
No
nonsense.
pardons with me.
Enough of this nonsense because T.O., I never believed in him. I thought he had a 2-cent brain. And it proves true that he's trying to run a 4.4. For what? To play football for somebody now? Come on, man. This is like ridiculous. We're even talking about T.O. Let's end this with Smoking Jim Frazier.
Can I say one thing before we go?
Yes.
I guarantee you he'll show up because he ain't going to pass up an opportunity to cry. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
Thank you, Smoking Jim, for your insights. It can't get much better than that, folks. But we're going to go to listen to Chip Hayner and his trivia time.
Various baseball records that I felt were unattainable anymore. There's the 3,000 hit club. We had the most recent member, 32 members of the 3,000 hit club. There was the 300 win club with 23 members of the pitcher. Then there was Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak.
Nobody's getting that.
So I was thinking of
No.
what is another unattainable record that will never be matched. And I went right to the Iron Man streak. Okay? And
better explain
so
that to
I will
someone, yeah.
explain to you what this is about. An Iron Man is an athlete of unusual physical endurance. This durability is generally measured by the athlete's ability to play without missing a game and or start for an extended period of time, sometimes even for an entire career.
Wow.
Some of the more notable athletes with significant streaks in sports history includes baseball's Lou Gehrig and Cal Ripken Jr., American football's Brett Favre,
Whoa.
and Joe Thomas, basketball's A.C. Green. No, Joe Thomas, basketball's A.C. Green, ice hockey's Doug Jarvis, and stock car racing's Jeff Gordon. The term Ironman, as it pertains to sports longevity, has origins from Major League Baseball pitcher Joe McGinty, who was known for pitching in back-to-back doubleheaders and leading his league in innings pitched 4 times in 5 seasons from 1900 to 1904. He also played professionally until age 54. His nickname was Iron Man, although he said the name came from his off-season work for his family's foundry business. In 1941, endurance by an athlete was recognized as an Iron Man by the press when Lou Gehrig had a streak of 2,130 consecutive games end when he asked the manager to take him out of the lineup due to his fading abilities. Gehrig had been a consistent performer on the field, having attained a batting average of at least 300 throughout his career until the previous season when he had fallen to 295. A common characteristic of an Ironman is the ability to play through injury. Gehrig displayed this trait in 1934 when his streak was in jeopardy of being snapped at 1,427 games. He had been injured during a game, was pulled from the lineup the next day after receiving heat treatments and massages for his stiff back. He was able to get a hit before leaving the contest. Wow. Gehrig's record stood for 62 years until surpassed by Cal Ripken Jr. in 1995. After Ripken's record-breaking streak gathered attention, the NBA's A.C. Green received attention for his own streak of consecutive games played in 1997 as he was approaching Randy Smith's record. Then in 1999, Brett Favre set the record for consecutive starts by a quarterback when he started his 117th consecutive game, surpassing the mark established by Ron Jaworski. In 2009, Favre would surpass Jim Marshall's streak at any position with his 271st consecutive start. So I'm going to go down a quick list, and I have a list of all of the Ironmen for various different sports, and I'm just going to limit this to the major American sports because who cares about cricket? Okay, so we go Major League Baseball, the Ironman leaderboard. Games played, Cal Ripken Jr., 2,632. That was 16.25 years, and he has held that record since 1995. The previous record was held by Lou Gehrig, 2,130 games, and the current active pursuant is Alcides Escobar, who has played in 408 consecutive games.
Wow. Never heard of him.
Neither have I. Innings played, Cal Ripken Jr., Major League Baseball, 8,264. That is 5.67 years, and he's held that record since 1985. Previous record holder, George Pinckney, 5,152. And there are several players that have less than 1,450. So quite a few people are pretty far off. Next, we're going to go to NASCAR. Races started. Jeff Gordon with 797.
Wow.
That took him 23 years to do. He's held that record since 2015. Ricky Rudd was the previous record holder with 788. Current pursuants, Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman, each with 576 consecutive starts. Next, we'll go to the NBA. Games played. AC Green, 1,192 consecutive
Off
games.
the bench.
Does that have anything to do with anything? That's 14.5 years. He's had that record since 1997. He took the record from Randy Smith, who had 906 consecutive starts. And can you name the current pursuant?
Yes.
Okay.
T.J. McConnell.
Mason Plumlee with 312.
Jim, you're out of control.
Out of control. NFL starts at the quarterbacking position. Brett Favre with 297. That's 18.56 years. He's held that since 1999 when he took the record from Ron Jaworski, who had 116 straight starts. And the current pursuant is Phillip Rivers with 192.
Really?
And unfortunately, it was not. It would have been Eli Manning had it not been for his former coach. And I say former coach because he's lost his job. Eli Manning's streak was ended at 210 games last year, not due to an injury, but due to start Geno Smith.
That was right.
He's a Hall of Famer. Starts at any position in football. Brett Favre, 297. He took that record from none other than Wrong Way Jim Marshall, 270 games played. Phillip Rivers is the current pursuant at 192. And then also in the NFL, games played. Jeff Fiegels played in 352 NFL games.
Kicker.
That's 22 years. I'm thinking he's a punter. Okay. He broke the record of Wrong Way Jim Marshall, who had 282 games, 270 consecutive, but 282 games he played. And the current pursuant is Shane Leckler at 254 games. Wow. He's another punter. Now, here's another one, and I don't even know how they can consider this a record, because they've got Joe Thomas. I guess they had to make some kind of notification or make some recognition of a Cleveland Brown, because there is a football team in Cleveland, even though the long-suffering fans in the dog pound know this well. But Joe Thomas has played in 10,363 snaps. Wow. Okay, consecutive snaps without a break. Now, he's held that record since we don't know. And whose record did he beat? We don't know. And who is the current pursuant? We don't know that either. So how can you hold a record when you didn't break somebody's record?
To the NFL.
But I guess if we're going to notice the Cleveland Browns, why don't we just make note of 1-31? Okay, because that's their record the last two seasons. Next, and last but not least, is the NHL. I can't let Jim's favorite sport, just because he's still celebrating with Ovi. NHL games played. Doug Jarvis, 964 games played. That's 11.76 years. Wow. Held that since 1986. The previous record was by Gary Unger at 914 games. And the current pursuant is Keith Yandel. 676 games played, and I don't know who he plays for, and I don't know if he's an offenseman, a forward or not. And starts at the goaltender position. The great Glenn Hall at 502. That's pretty good. So these are some of the records that, will some of these be beaten? I say the NFL records of Favre. And then the records of Cal Ripken. I don't think there's a chance of anybody playing long enough to do that. But so there we go. That's where the Iron Men are, and that's how they came to be known.
Can I say one thing before we go to Al Levine, the talking machine? Mm-hmm. We got our own Iron Men. How many in a row, Al?
340.
They'll never be broken.
But whose record? If we're going to make a record of it, we have to know somebody whose record
Nobody's
he beat.
Done it.
Everybody.
There wasn't anybody.
We could say that since your 10th episode, then that's when you broke the record. Because, I mean, Brett Favre broke the record after 117.
After the first year.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have the only live show on BPTV. So it's a whole new category.
But I don't think I think that record could stand with anybody in the country because people take vacation and stuff like that. You haven't missed for vacation or anything.
Not yet.
7 years, so I think you got the record.
Thanks, Smoking
Guinness
Jim.
Book. Call Guinness Book.
Thanks. Thank you, Smoking Jim.
Put you right in there next to the Pirates.
We'll try to, well, that might be my own category. All right. Stay tuned for the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame created by Smokin' Jim Frazier, July 9th at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 7:30 to 8:30. Got 7 inductees. Can't wait to find out who they are and where they'll be, but we have that going on. And Mario Tempest is going to be out there promoting a golf tournament or something that he has. Did you talk to Mario? Okay.
Well, we know who it's not going to be, right?
Who?
In the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. I tend to ignore that because he's so prejudiced and stubborn that I don't want to
stubborn,
digress.
Yes.
Well, he's prejudiced because if they weren't for Gateway, they're against Gateway. So he stayed that way. We understand that. I'm not for Gateway, but I'm not against them either. So
I want to get Zach in the Gateway.
it's not happening. You've lost again, Smoking Jim. But check our On Location show. $5 large pizzas, 1 topping. $5 large hoagies, whatever you want to eat. Have a great crowd up there. We'll have great sports. Can't wait to hear Smoking Jim, who he's inducted. I already got 2 phone calls, so I know 2 of them, and they're very happy to be a part of it. So we will check it out July 9th. That's a couple Mondays from now.
Fireworks.
So, yeah, be there with Smoking Jim Frazier. Who knows how he'll be? He has awards. He gets it pumped up, and the dreadlock DJ will be announcing. So anything could happen there. He might have some things he wants to promote, so I'll let him talk for a minute or 2, then we'll limit him. So good luck to Dan Bogan, the dreadlock DJ. So we'll have some fun, and we're going to come back with some Bucko talk for the last segment of our show. If you have a dessert, eat it, Chief. Don't change that dial. Welcome back, folks. Chief, I hope you're enjoying your little treat. Thanks for not changing that dial. We still have some Bucko talk. I told you I'm a little disappointed, but when I thought they got rid of Cole and Kutch, I figured they'd be lucky to be 20 games under 500 by now. So 5 games under 500, I don't feel so bad. They showed some great streaks going on, like they opened the season up like they were mad at all the fans and people and were hitting the ball out of the park and winning a bunch of games early in the year. So I'm hoping they get back to that, and I'm hopeful. So go Buccos.
Well, you know, here's what's going on with the Pirates. Last 34 games, I even heard Clint Hurdle mention today this is the worst streak that he's had as a manager of a Major League Baseball club in his career. The last 34 games, 10-24. And the problems with the way the Pirates have been performing are many. A number of different people just aren't performing at the bat. You know, we can go right down the list, you know, from Gregory LePlanco to Josh Bell, even
Sure.
Josh Harrison, who's shown signs of brilliance, but you know, his bat went cold. Corey Dickinson has not hit a home run since May the 4th. Yeah. He's had 1 RBI in the month of
He's still hitting over
June.
300.
You know, so there's a variety of different things, and I was at 3 of the 4 games this past weekend because unlike Jim, when I have tickets to a game, I go. But you know, watching the games, you know, watched a great pitched game Friday night. Patrick Corbin for the Arizona Diamondbacks had the Pirates hitters guessing all night long. He had them flailing helplessly against his changeup, struck out 12.
Yeah.
Ivan Nova, whatever got healed when he was on the disabled list, he has come back and he has been pitching the way that we expect Ivan Nova to pitch. He pitched a great game in a game that he should have won, but unfortunately he didn't because we couldn't push the runs across the plate. But then, the various things that I saw happening, and you could sense the frustration of the team was, players weren't covering bases. Cutoff men weren't being hit. Extra bases weren't being taken. Runners were being thrown out, trying to stretch singles into doubles. A number of different errors. And then there's the saga of Sean Rodriguez. Sean Rodriguez is the super utility player for the Pirates. And right now, he's batting 60 points lower than his weight. Wow. Okay? And he is far below the Mendoza line, and it's very frustrating for him, and it's very frustrating for everybody, and embarrassing. And not only is he not hitting now, his defense was what he was most noted for.
The injuries he suffered in that car accident.
He's had five errors in the last couple of weeks. One of the errors that I witnessed him have on Saturday night, the ball hitting the right field corner. Austin Meadows hits the cutoff man. He takes the ball, promptly throws it into the Pirates' dugout, 10 feet over the head of the catcher. Okay, so it turned a triple into, the guy on third got home. So it was a 2-run triple that, So the problems are many, and the only way to get out of this funk and I've listened to a lot of experts talk, is they've got to play their way out of it. They got to keep working, and they got to keep playing. Now, last night, Hurdle shook up the lineup, and they produced some runs, okay? So that's one step. You got to win the first game before you can start any kind of a streak. So far this evening, top of the third inning, the Pirates are losing 2-0. The Mets scored 2 in the bottom of the second. But, the New York Mets are a really bad team, because if you look at what the Mets are doing now, they were 31 and I believe 46, and they started out the season 11-1. Mm-hmm. So they have the wheels have completely fallen off their bus, and they probably have a payroll that's twice what the Pirates' payroll is. Mm-hmm. So the theory that if you pay them more money, they're going to play better.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to hold water here. And the Pirates do have players on their team that are capable of performing. Josh Bell, as a rookie last year, hit 26 home runs. Yes, last night he hit a 2-run home run, which is a great sign, but he's only got 6 home runs for the season. He's not on pace to hit the 26 he hit last year. Gregory Polanco is somebody that we're looking for to be a power hitter for the Pirates. So
they built a statue before he got here.
Last night, he hit his 10th home run of the season, and the Pirates became the last team in the major leagues to have a player in double digits for home runs for this season. So, there were things to be worked on. And that all being said, the Pirates are still only get 5 games under 500. They've got a young pitching staff that's trying to find their identity, and as Alan alluded to earlier, we would hope that Jamison Taillon would be the ace of the staff. And, what we're not seeing out of this young pitching staff is the consistency that you need to see out of your number 1, 2, and 3 starters. Everybody pitches a good game, and then they follow it up with a bad one.
Yeah,
or they'll pitch, Chad Kuhl's pitching tonight. He pitched on Thursday night, gave up 8 runs in 3 innings, okay? Was absolutely atrocious. His 5 previous games before that, he had an ERA of 2.45. So he pitched 5 real good games, had a really, really bad game, and he was anxious to get on the mound to try to work it out. And that's what we need to see. And these are the growing pains that a young pitching staff you're going to see happen. These are guys that are trying to find their way. They've got a tremendous amount of talent.
Yeah.
There's been times that Chad Cole's been unhittable. There's been times that Trevor Williams has been absolutely lights out. Sure. Jamison Taillon was spot on last night. He gave up no runs in 6 innings.
Right.
Okay. He left with a 5-run 5-run lead, and the Pirates ultimately ended up winning the game 6-4. So, what we're seeing is what you would expect out of a young team. Nobody's quitting. I certainly am not giving up on the team. The manager isn't giving up on the team. The players aren't giving up. And, we're 78 games into the season.
Yeah.
77,
like
78 games into the season. We're almost at the halfway mark. Still a lot of baseball to be played. And you know what? Let's see if they can make some noise. I look for better things to come as we get into the dog days of the summer.
Smoking Jim, you're grinning like a Cheshire cat.
I can't speak about the pitchers because they're too young.
Why? You've done that before. Last year, you told us how bad they were.
Well, I don't want to throw dirt on them, but I will say this, and I agree with Chip that if you look at the Pittsburgh Pirate lineup, I think there's as much talent on this team as any team. If they play to their ability, if they all play, I think this is a championship caliber team. Talent.
How come you only bet on 75 wins?
76.
And the point being, Jim, is that this is a team that is trying to. I mean, a lot of these players. If you think about Josh Bell, he's in his second year. Now the old dog on the team right now is Jordy Mercer.
Well, don't make excuses.
Well, I'm not making excuses, but I'm calling a spade a spade. I mean, they have played in the last 34 games. They've played poorly. There is no question about it. I've watched the games.
24 speaks for itself.
I've been to a number of the games. I'm going to continue to go to the games. I'm going to continue to watch, and I'm going to continue to root for the team. But I will be critical of them. And I saw things happen this past weekend that mistakes being made that you should not be seeing made at the major league level. Okay, because it's fundamental baseball, and guys, they're running around the field. They don't know where their assignments are supposed to be. But everybody's got an assignment, no matter where the ball's hit. Somebody's got to cover each of the bases. Stuff like that's not happening. They're missing opportunities.
Well, I think you and Al Levine, the talk machine, will agree with me here. Where their biggest problem,
disagree.
Their biggest problem is lack of leadership. They don't have an ace. You need leaders, and the Pirates get rid of their leaders. You got to have a leader.
They sound like the Steelers.
You got to have a leader.
Well,
Smoking Jim, they sound like the Steelers to me.
And you know what, Jim? You're right, but somebody's got to take that leadership role. Okay, McCutchen is gone. Cole is gone. They're not coming back. Okay, somebody needs to step up, and they need to say, I'm going to be the man. Okay,
we don't have anybody
right now.
Who's that pitcher they had a few years back that I used to like that they got?
A.J. Burnett.
A.J. Burnett.
The Yankees were paying.
They need to find them another A.J. Burnett.
Well,
they're hard to find.
And you know what though? I believe that person is on the roster right now. He just hasn't. He just hasn't stepped up.
He didn't arrive.
He just hasn't stepped up. I'll tell you. It'll be interesting to see how things pan out as we move forward through the season. But
thanks Chip, for your Bucko talk. Couldn't agree with you more on it. I'm still hopeful. 5 games under 500. I'm not disappointed. So we're just a little worried because of the ups and downs they've had in that 10-24 streak. Not too good, but we'll see what happens. Got a long season, over half of it to go. So thanks for watching us, folks. We appreciate you. Thanks to Dave Cable and BPTV, and of course Steve, Rookie of the Year Fisher, and Zach helping out. Heard he's doing very well there. And I'd like to say, stay Joey strong.